There I was in my family kitchen, 16 years of age, ironing my dad's police shirt. It needed a special crease back in those days down the shoulder because he was a senior sergeant detective and that signified his rank, part of the signification of his rank, apart from the badge and what have you. There I am ironing that crease that really took a lot of concentration. And I could feel my dad just looking over at me, and I look over at him and he's hunched over and he's not saying much. And I know why. And then my little brother moves past me, kind of fast, but silent and awkward. He just shoves past me and grabs the lunch that I made him for school. And he goes back to his room. And my other brother is in his room packing his bags to move to his girlfriend's. The night before, I'd had a conversation with him and told him, confided in him something that I hadn't told anyone about something that shouldn't be happening, that was happening to me since the age of 10 and had gotten worse, and where I defended myself and saved myself from being raped, but I was afraid it was going to happen again. And before that, the night before that, my mum had passed away. So my middle brother couldn't take another drop of pain, or he just needed to go where he could feel some love and peace, I guess. And my dad, well, he'd been at the kitchen bench all night sobbing, and I'd sat with him. He didn't say a word, I didn't say a word, but I would now and again rub his back. And there I am ironing that bloody crease into the shoulder pads, into the shoulders of his shirt. And I remember thinking, I can't fix this. I can't fix this. I can't keep my family together. I mean, my dad's useless. No one's coming. My brothers are useless. And then I realized I'm useless because I can't keep my family together. And so in that moment, I made a decision that defined my life. It defined how much I would risk, or it defined where I would risk. And it defined the whole entire context from which I perceived everything. Everything. My whole matrix of my thinking, my thought patterns were made up from that decision of a 16-year-old girl looking out at a family falling apart, feeling like I don't have what it takes to keep my family together. I'm trying. I'm filling my mum's shoes and I'm there for everyone. I'm not getting sleep. I'm not studying in the way that I should be. But I'm not enough. It's not enough. And I decided I'm useless. I'm not enough. I don't have what it takes. And so I spent my life striving, being the best, doing my best, making it happen, taking risks because, I just would throw myself into situations that I knew nothing about and had no right sometimes to know about, but I'd be like totally confident. I'd say, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try that. Or else I would have to face that I don't have what it takes. I'm not enough. So I was constantly proving it to myself. I have a whole shelf full of awards and newspaper articles and accolades, but I never really used to feel that. I couldn't feel them they didn't fulfill my not enoughness. My I'm useless. I can't quite get the big thing done. And so little things like someone would make me a meal and I'd open it, I'd eat it, I'd heat it up. And my immediate thought was, like, for instance, let me be specific. Someone made me a stock once and it was really salty. And all I thought was, oh my God, they must really love salty food. This is like, and what do they think about me? Like, is it because I'm vegetarian that they think I need to have more flavor in my food? That was the context I came out of. And really what was happening was, it's a stock. You only use a little bit. It's meant to be extra salty because that salt spreads out. The flavor goes through the food and it's no longer salty. But you see, I was coming from, I always had to be right. I had to know best. I had to know best, because if I didn't know best, and if I wasn't looking out there knowing and having the answer and knowing how things are and how things work, then I wasn't enough and I was useless. Now, I only broke through this 2 years ago. Actually, it's nearly 3 years ago now, thank goodness. And I have a whole different context to come out of. And it's less me orientated. I mean, I've always been a we person because I'm always looking out there, seeing what others need and how to be there for them and what's going on. But when we're in our own head trying to prove that we're not enough, and we all have some form of not enoughness, I don't quite have what it takes. So in my business, I would see this, like, I'm getting these great results, but it wasn't where I wanted to go. So I would tell myself, I don't quite have what it takes. 2 years ago, when I saw that decision as a 16-year-old, I got to see that that was a decision that a 16-year-old girl, under great stress, with no one there to help her, she made that decision. And I got to put that decision back in the past. And I no longer occurred to myself as someone who couldn't quite make it happen. I no longer occurred to myself as someone who didn't quite have what it takes. I no longer occurred to myself as someone who might be found out to be useless. I might get found out. And I'm like, but I really, because of all that striving and all that learning and all that education and research, my mind is almost brilliant, but I could never see it. I could never see it because I always thought I might get found out as being useless or not quite having enough. So what is there for you to discover? Because you see, we're wired for success. We're actually wired for success, only we are conditioned. We're conditioned for failure. You're conditioned for failure until you uncover that blind spot. Now, you can uncover it, or you can just get to work and just know that there's some decision there around not enoughness. You don't necessarily have to find specifically exactly what that is. Just know that it's there. That's what the self-sabotage is. That's what causes the self-sabotage. That's what gets in your way. That's what makes you pull back, or it makes you seem fantastic and chase big things and do big risks like me, only you're not really able to see the accomplishment that you've achieved. You can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't appreciate it. So whatever it is that's there, your not enoughness, put something else in its place that allows you to know that you are enough. Just tell yourself, I've got some form of not enoughness there. I made that decision as a child, and all of my thinking is going to come through that. So how do we do it? We become the observer. We sit back and we listen to what comes out of our mouth, and we observe that our behavior and actions, and we look for where we're being informed by some form of not enoughness. You'll see it, and the first time you see it, you write it down so that you don't forget it. But you want to really grab onto that and start to really pull that veil back. You want to pull that right back. So you've got to see every time that you do it, just keep looking. And don't worry if you're not seeing it at first. It's not a race. It's your life, and you just want to start seeing it and write it down and acknowledge yourself for just making the effort and doing the work in its place. See, because you'll also start to hear your inner narrative, which is, like I used to have, oh my God, this is useless. Oh my God, I'm useless. What the, like, I didn't think I was useless. I know I'm not useless, but it was still running my life. It's still running your life. So listen out for any invalidation, any negative self-talk, and tell yourself, I no longer function from that decision I made, whatever it was, as a kid. I'm no longer going to speak about myself negatively. I'm not going to diminish myself, make myself small, invalidate myself. And instead, I want you to honor those traits and characteristics about yourself, your inner truth. So start tapping into your inner knowing and expand that place, and it will fill up the space more than that decision as a child. We are wired for success only when we tap into our inner knowing, our inner truth, our inner wisdom, our true authentic self, where we're truly authentically confident, where we're truly authentically wise, where we're truly authentically clear, where life, whatever we love to do the most, those doors fly open. And there's surprises, and life is magic when you're tapped into your inner knowing, your inner truth. When you're functioning from that decision, that not enoughness, it feels like push, and it's hard, and it's shitty, and it's a struggle, and doors seem to not be opening for us, or they close in our face. That's the contrast. Now you get to choose which path to go down. So initially, the saying, there's the clear path. The clear path is because it's conditioned and it's automated and it takes less effort and it's easy and we already see it clearly. But the inner knowing initially is the hard path, the windy path, the dirt, gravel path that's overgrown because we're not familiar with it. We're not in touch with it, and it takes something in the beginning, but I'm telling you, it becomes the clear, straight path with the brightest, widest horizon, like awesome, truly awesome. And I want that for everyone. All right. I'm Fo Whale from She Talks. It's a beautiful platform for women. Yes, we have He Talks as well, a platform for men. I haven't had a chance to launch it because we've been in lockdown. I look forward to sharing more with you soon. So just get out of your head and get into that place in your day where you're the observer, observing what you're saying, and look out for that not enough-ness. All right, bye for now.